Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you love with those you love to do them with. Please do me a favor, guys. Let's smash the granny out of the like button early doors, shall we? Let's hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Let's hit the notification bell. And let's talk a little bit in the comment section about yesterday's game, mate. 1-0. Tottenham beat Villarreal. We currently sit, I'll show you right now, we currently sit 5th in the Champions League. We are back in the big time, back in the business. And it was, look, all that matters at this stage is the reality of the situation. 1 played, 1 clean sheet, 3 points on the board. And when you think about the context of the environment, Thomas Frank's first Champions League game, people like Lucas Berghvall's first Champions League game, I'm pretty sure it was Pape Sarr as well, though I might be mistaken. A few other players as well making their debut, like Kolo Muani, people getting back into the team, people still on the tired legs after a game only 72 hours prior, against a very resolute, interesting, very, very interesting team in Villarreal. They really are an interesting team. Difficult to kind of pin down their strategy. They don't press in any particular normal fashion. They sort of do things a little bit unique, and they swarm in packs, but they don't certainly press from the front all the time. They give you moments where you're allowed to have the ball, moments where they press you. Its unpredictability is, of course, the second best ability. But Tottenham also unpredictable. Tottenham also unpredictable last night. Lots of moments where we won the ball back in tight situations. Offensive duels, defensive duels, in the malaise of all of the kind of intricate challenges, we somehow seemingly came away with the ball more often than we didn't, just to give the ball away. We gave the ball away time and time and time again. And you know what's really refreshing is when you're trying to put your thoughts together immediately after the game is finished, like I do outside in the stadium. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to kind of to foment exactly what it is what you're trying to say. So you say your piece, and you're like, you know what, I'll subject to change. I'll come back tomorrow morning. I'll sleep on it. Clean head, back in the seat. Fresh eyes on the game. Watch the highlights. Look at the stats, and then come back with the actual take. And I haven't changed my opinion. But what I did hear on the way home, in the 2.5-hour journey home last night, absolute nightmare. I'll tell you about it in the stream. I left Tottenham. I'll tell you about it later. But anyway, long story short, I ended up doing an hour loop around the M25 and then came back to Tottenham because of roadworks. It was an absolute nightmare. But I did happen to hear a lot of the TalkSport people calling in. I heard Thomas Frank's takes. I heard Palinia's takes. I heard Xavi's takes. And I feel like I've sort of like, Thomas Frank is someone that you like, he says it as he sees it. He's so honest. And when he says things that you see as well, you know, either that you're both bullshitting yourselves or you're both being honest enough with yourselves that it's not perfect, it's imperfect, it's a work in progress, and that you can see and at least hear the manager, the gaffer, articulate the reasons why. There's lots of reasons to be cheerful, even in the areas of the game where there are massive rooms for improvement, because he's aware of it. He's not pulling the wool over the eyes. He's not trying to masquerade as something that it isn't. He's not trying to convince anybody of our situation being better or worse than it really is. He's very honest, and I think he's very, very much kind of, he's hitting the nail on the head with his hammer. And I love to see it because he's aware of, like I say, the areas for improvement, and we're going to talk about them. But what I will say, guys, before I get going any further, and big up to you all, by the way, big up to the people that are here in the house, good to see you, is he doesn't have that much work to do. Like, there is still a lot of work, but it's one area of the game that just needs that polish. And I think the reason why it hasn't had it yet, it doesn't have it yet, is partly down to just time, partly down to the process of getting people fit that haven't really had a pre-season necessarily. People like Xavi Simons, people like Muani, people that are learning. Bearing in mind that most of our new players this year are at the forward end of the pitch. Some of them have been around for a month or two. Others have been here for a week or two. Others played their first minutes last night. Also, there's been some long-term injuries that will have disrupted the flow. You've had players that are out that were playing pretty much every minute last year that are now on the bench. And so you have so much new at the top end of the pitch. And clearly, the priority in pre-season, the priority on the training ground thus far has been to fix the back end of the pitch. Get yourself solid, get yourself organized, get yourself disciplined, get yourself structured. That is the foundation in which you build from, and that takes a bit of time. And I think we're well ahead of schedule on that side of it. 4 clean sheets from 5. But we probably, there's consequences to taking a certain path with your thought processes as a coach, right? There's opportunity cost. If you're spending all of your time making sure that the back is solid and that the people that are at the top end of the pitch are learning how to defend from the front, how to press, how to support your fullbacks, how to navigate those complexities of players that are not used to doing those sorts of things, the opportunity cost is there's not a lot of time to do the front end of the pitch and the sort of attacking from the back and all of those things, alongside the fact that there's no chemistry yet on certain areas of the pitch, alongside the fact that the relationships are yet to forge, and the fact that you've got all these new players at the top end of the pitch. If you solve for that, which is like the phase 2 of the training ground regime, whilst also, by the way, finding enough time to practice for a back 3, practice for a back 4, practice for a double pivot, practice for a single pivot 6, practice for a double 10, practice for, wide guys that go on the outside. And there's a lot to do. There's a lot of time that's required to learn all these things, to practice all these things. But actually, it looks fantastic in everywhere apart from the offensive side of the game. And it's a big part of the game, don't get me wrong. But if we've fixed the foundations now, and it's only September the 17th, and 4 clean sheets from 5, plus not to mention that everything else at the club seems to be happy. Everything else, think about how bad everything was. Everything was like 100 days ago or 150 days ago. Right, we were finished. We were 14th in the league. Probably weren't going to make the Europa League. Angie in, Ange out was the conversation. Levy in, Levy out was the conversation. There were protests. You had Christian Romero throwing the club indirectly under the bus, throwing the medical team under the bus. You had problems with unhappy players. You had injuries galore. You had a manager that was talking out of both sides of his mouth, trying to protect his own ego, trying to protect his own reputation. Doesn't feel that way right now, does it? You've got a captain who's saying how happy he is, who's showing his gratitude to the departed chairman, looking forward to what's next. You've got owners who, I don't know, you know how I feel about it, but generally speaking, they're at least saying the things that you want to hear. We've got a brilliant transfer window in 4 players coming in that are first team starters. You hope that there's money to come in the background in January to go again. We know where we're short. There doesn't seem to be, touch wood, doesn't seem to be at the moment, a plagued injury crisis. You've got players returning soon. Everybody seems happy. Xavi Simons is saying wonderful things. You've got a coach which is being honest, sincere, and telling you, exactly where you're at. Everything. Vinay's in charge. You've got things happening in the background, new potential money, sponsorship deals. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction. And all you've really got to do to fix a couple of bits and pieces on the pitch is spend a little bit more time now, pivot towards that front end chemistry, that front end attack, and things look really rosy. Things look really rosy. Before I come and say hello to the chat, guys, just want to say shout out to OK Jersey, who are sponsoring today's video, of course. If you are interested in getting some replica shirts, then best place to go is okjersey.com. There's the QR code. There's the URL. 15, 16, 17 pounds, something like that. Global shipping now, apparently. They can get you get it everywhere. And can't ask better than that. All your badges, your names, your numbers, all the shirts, whatever shirt you want. Not just at our place, but for the major teams around Europe. And if you want something better than that, how about an 8% discount? Well, you can get that with code Sean, SEAN, at the checkout. So I appreciate them. Please get over. And also, guys, if you are someone that does go onto podcasts, if you are on Apple Pods, if you are on Spotify, checking out Joe Rogan or whatever else, then whilst you're there, please type in Spurs Talk Show. See if you can find us. If you can't find us, the link is in the description, and smash us a 5-star rating. Really help. And a follow would be great. Let's see who's in the chat, and then we're going to get into into the game review, because I think that there's so many like micro pros and micro cons. As I say, the overall takeaway from me yesterday was that it was sloppy with the ball. We had the ball so much. And I think, look, if I'm entirely honest, I'll come to Vicario in a minute, but like Pepe had 3 or 4 chances. Buchanan had a gilt-edged chance as well. If any of those are on target, looking at Vicario's positioning, I'm not sure that he saves too many. So it could have been a different story, but it wasn't, right? The result is all that matters. And as I say, we are currently 5th in the Champions League, just behind Real Madrid. Not a bad place to be. Look who's above them, Qarabag. See, Qarabag beat Benfica at home, away at Benfica yesterday. Unbelievable result. Also, did you see the game between Juve and was it Juve and Dortmund? Yeah, they drew 4-4. It was 4-2. I think it was 4-2 to Dortmund in like the 93rd minute. And then Juve scored 2 injury time goals to come away with a point. And I think they won 4-3 on the weekend against Inter, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So they're a team that's scoring goals galore, but they're conceding them as well. So fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Anyway, let's go and check out what the chat is saying. Big afternoon to you, James. How you doing, mate? Afternoon, buddy. Dino, good to see you, my man. Hope you're okay, buddy. Patch M, poor performance, decent result. Yeah, it wasn't a great performance. The game itself was pretty scrappy, wasn't it? But Villarreal they're a very unique team. I did say beforehand, I said, you've got to watch out for these guys. They got a blend of experience. They got creativity. They press in a weird way. And also, they are capable of breaking at pace. Didn't see too much of that yesterday in terms of like the breakaway pace. But listen, when we got forward, we gave the ball away. We managed to get back as well. The recovery sprints from our defensive line was very impressive. So there's like I don't know, like I'd probably land on like a 6 out of 10 for most of the players, but there's parts of their game where they were like 8s and parts of their game where they were 4s or 3s. You know, so it's a weird one to score, but we'll try our best in a second. Good to see you, Patch. Dino, so Shawnee, first chance in ages I've caught you live. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're okay, buddy. I hope you're okay. Cathal's in the house. Be up to you, Cathal. Morning, Shawnee. Morning, mate. Mrs. Maple. Good afternoon, Shawn. I enjoyed the game. It seemed fine to me. I had decent seats for once. There was good light show beforehand, wasn't there? Really good light show. Very cool. I got to get next season. I've got to get my seat a little bit closer. I'm row 42, I think it is, or 44 or something in the south stand, and it's a lovely view. But I'd like to be about 10 yards, maybe about 15, 20, row 20, something would be perfect. Just above the standing section, I think would give me the best view. I'll see if I can move down there next year. Good to see you, Miss Mobile. AJ Healy, afternoon, Sean. It was important to get off to a good start, and we did that. We are a team that is a work in progress, so need to be forgiving regarding the performance. 100%. As I said last night, you know, like everything's a work in progress, and it all that does matter in those situations. You know, if you get your 3 points, you're a quarter of the way there to making sure that you are at least in the playoffs. But if you can get, if we can get a victory out in Bodo next week or the week after, whenever it is, which I think we could, then we're a third of the way to enough points to qualify in the top 8. And then you're talking serious money as well, right? I think it's about £2 million or £1.9 million or something for every 3 points. It's a lot of money. And the more difficult games come in game week 3 and 4, don't they? I think it's Frankfurt. Oh no, Copenhagen's next, isn't it? And then I think it's Frankfurt and obviously PSG away and Monaco away is where the difficult ones will be for me. Afternoon, Stratus. Good to see you, mate. Loved watching the ball creep over the line. Do you know what, mate? I felt a little bit sorry for the goalkeeper. It was his debut in the Champions League. UEFA debut in Europe. 2 minutes in, he's had an absolute howler, and then the stadium was very unforgiving every time he got near the ball. Ooh. It is what it is. It is what it is. Frank has said he's working on phase 1 first. Phase 2 and phase 3 will come. We need a little patience, people. Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. But I think it's chemistry and relationships. But I genuinely think that a lot of that stuff, yes, they can work on phases of play. Yes, they can work on, whether to come short or go long in certain situations. But a lot of that stuff is just chemistry, is just wavelength, is just relationships. And yesterday, having won the ball back 100 times to then give it away 100 times, it was like pinball. And it was, or hot potato, because Villarreal were doing it as well, by the way. There were so many misplaced passes from the width into the middle, and I felt like we were just over the top, trying to like cut the middle guys out and go from one side to the other, and it became very predictable and a little bit easy to pick off, which is a problem. But like I say, it will gel in time, especially as the players get used to each other and understand each other's game. I definitely think that Pedro Porro and Kudus have got a wonderful relationship. I see a lot of people in the comments from my video last night saying that they think Kudus hangs on to the ball too much. He doesn't lose the ball very often, though. Even when he hangs on to the ball, he still finds a way to come out the other side with it. He looks like he's pumped up, looks like he's excited, he's happy to be here, and he looks like he's enjoying being the main man at the moment. And I think that's important, because we've got to figure out what is the best way to use Xavi. Because I just think, for me personally, a 4-3-3 works best when your left winger does what left wingers do. And if you're going to have a left winger that cuts in as the 10, then you either need one of those 8s to be someone that can drift out. Think of like a Jacob Murphy, right? Who went to Newcastle. He's like an 8/left winger. And so you could play him in the 8 and on the left side of a double pivot, or the left side of an advanced 8 rather. And then if your left winger, your left wing forward wants to cut in, you could have someone like him that fills that gap if your left back isn't necessarily as progressive, isn't someone that wants to run forward. I'm not sure that I'd like to see Destiny Udogie start a game with Xavi Simons, because I think Destiny Udogie has that natural tendency to get forward. And if we were playing against the team coming up, I'm not sure Brighton away is the place to do it. But if you were playing a team coming up that didn't have a right winger that wants to cut in, like Brighton have got Minte, who is just obscenely talented, really, really like him. And so I think you probably still want Jed Spence there to be able to sort of nullify the threat that comes from him a little bit more than Destiny. Although Destiny Udogie didn't do a bad job last night, and I've never thought he's a terrible defender at all. He's certainly not like, a fullback such as Diouf at West Ham, who's brilliant going forward, but absolutely shocking defensively. Destiny Udogie's balanced. He's very balanced, but he's just more of a wing back, so he wants to get forward more. And if he is defending, he needs help from Van der Ven, which again can pull players out. But in a world where you didn't have Brighton next, if you had someone else, if we were playing away at, say, Leeds United next or something, or at home against Leeds, I'd like to see Destiny Udogie relationship sort of genesis. The catalyst there for me would be Xavi Simons can drift in and then know that he's got the support on the outside, because I just don't think Jed Spence has quite got that in his DNA yet. He doesn't necessarily want to get forward to the same degree. And if Xavi Simons is always going to drag the ball forward and drag the ball centrally, you need someone to fill that spot. Whether that's a Pape Sarr or a Berghvall or a left back, someone needs to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be predictable, and you know that you're going to put most of your stuff down the right wing, and then the only threat of going on the outside is down your right on Kudus, and then they can double up on that, which is one of the reasons why I say, I've been saying it for ages, you need a dual threat. You need a 6 or an 8 that can switch with consummate ease, and then fullbacks and centre-backs are torn between single-handedly handling a winger that can beat them, or doubling up and then drawing players out. And then you bring the ball centrally, and then you have someone like Xavi Simons in there with space in the world where Kudus or insert left winger here, insert Savio, insert Lookman, insert Malik Fofana, whoever. If that guy's out there doing the same thing that Kudus is doing, then in the situation where the fullbacks need help and they call for help from the 6 or from their inside centre-back, well, then you get a situation where the space is opened up centrally. Give it to Xavi, let him rock. And 90 seconds into the game last night, we saw the ball fall to Xavi, and he put his foot through it. The ball was rising. He's undercut it, so it was always going to go over, but shows his confidence. I just don't like him on the left wing particularly. Let's get back to the chat and see where we're up to. It was a game of mistakes. A mistake won us the game to Anaconda. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game, to be honest. It wasn't a pretty game. I really enjoyed the pre-show, the preamble before I went to the number 8 bar and saw Connor. Met up with Connor. Had a good chat with him. Had a couple of beers, but I was driving. But I had my 2 beers, and then that was it. And then James from Spurs Related rocked up with Duo Max as well. Ex-YouTuber Duo Max. Got a massive channel, and then he just decided to walk away from it. I'm done with this. I'm moving on, doing something else. Phenomenal. He's a really nice guy. And a couple of Connors mates. We had and Phil P as well was there. Woo! Phil P, good to see him as well. And yeah, we had a couple of beers, and then went into the stadium. Performance is not necessarily everything. The result is everything. Got to get this manager time. 100%, Robert. 100%, my man. I'm not in any way stressed. I'm actually saying, like, my point is that, like, most of the things at the football club, in my opinion, most of the problems that were everywhere around us last year, feels like within a matter of weeks, a lot of that stuff seems to have disappeared. We've got a manager that can be level, straight with us, that's reasonable, that's calm, that's got a demeanour. We've got a coaching staff that are familiar with his tactics, his system, so you don't have to have that time of dissemination delays, right? Where Ange just rocked in. Who am I working with? You, and you. Okay, come here, mate. Let me tell you about our little bit of Ange ball. And then they've got to figure it out, learn it, understand it, sort of let it all download into them, and then they have to upload it into other players. None of that stuff is like we've got shortcuts now to this stuff. And they've to a large degree, at least with regards to the results, the clean sheets do speak for themselves. I will still say, though, that last night, the clean sheet was not deserved. I'm going to get the stats up in a minute, and we'll talk about the XGs and things, because I can only imagine that they out XG'd us. I can't imagine we had much XG at all. The only shot on target was Pape Sarr's, and that was from 23 yards. Everything else was, we didn't do anything else, so it really wasn't great. But like I say, where I think we've been working, where we have been working on the training ground and our defence, that the proof is in the pudding. 4 clean sheets from 5. Now phase 2, or whatever they're calling it, where they're moving into how to create relationships, chemistry, dynamism, tactical fluidity, all that stuff, all those jargon keywords. Well, if we can now get these guys working and humming along, then why not, right? We'll concede a couple of goals, but we'll score more. Fine with me. Look at the opposite. Look at Aston Villa. Aston Villa haven't scored a goal in the Premier League yet. They finally scored last night in the Carabao Cup, and they lost anyway to Brentford. They've had a shocking start. Absolute shocker. Like proper shocker. By the way, someone said to me, Sean, why don't you, I like these Magnums, right? And they don't sell them around here. So I bought a case of them from from one of the shops in Tottenham High Road on the way home. So the guy looked at me at 10:30 at night. I go, mate, you got any Magnums? And he points me to the fridge where there's 2 Magnums. And I was like, yeah, do you have any more? And he went, how many do you need? I went, a full case. He looked at me like, what? So, rat-a-ta-ta on the Magnum tar. We got a super chat, super sticker. Choo choo to you, Deanie. Always here, my man. Choo choo. Appreciate you, buddy. Always here, always supporting you. Absolute little legend, Dino. Absolutely. Listen, I know you go to the games, bro. So just message me on Twitter or something, mate. We'll meet up for a beer or meet up for a Magnum on the street before the next Change for Tottenham protest or something. Appreciate you, Dino. Good to see you, mate. John Howard, afternoon to you. Good to see you. On our way. We're on our way to the Budapest. We're on our way. Yeah, it's too soon for that Cantab. Although they were singing it last night. They were singing it at half time. Definitely singing it. 100%. 100%. What are we doing here? Yeah, not a great performance, says J Mac. But we're getting results. Trusting Frank that the attacking side of our game will evolve. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Big up Dino. Big up Dino. Nathan McCreary, what's up with the passing yesterday? Multiple players off the mark on passes. I think this is just part and parcel of I think they don't understand each other's game yet. You know, you've got to remember, right? Like, Kudus has been with Tottenham a month, 6 weeks. Xavi Simons, he joined and then he disappeared for 2 weeks for international. So he's really been here a week and a half. Richalison didn't play against West Ham, so he hadn't played at all with Xavi Simons yet. His relationship early doors with Kudus has been good. And then in the 10, well, we're not really playing 10s, are we? Like, Kudus, Sarr's not a 10. Berghvall's not a 10, in my opinion. They're advanced players. And to be honest, yesterday, it was like we were playing, it was a weird formation because at times I think the problem was we were playing like a 4-1-4-1, you know, at home with Bentancur in the 6. You know how I feel about Roddy Bentancur. Good player, not a great player, but he's no 6. He's no 6. And at times, part of Sarr and Berghvall were getting in each other's way. They really were. I remember Kudus had the ball at one point, and Sarr was like standing in his direct line of path, just sort of like watching him, like he was getting a close-up. I was like, what are you doing? Get out of the way. And a lot of times last night, I just felt, I felt like, and again, watching it from the stands is different to watching it on TV, so tell me if I'm wrong, but I felt like, at times, from that sort of bird's eye perspective to a degree, I felt like there was statuesque moments where everyone was sort of standing still. You know, someone's got the ball, but there's no triggers happening. And you know triggers, right? Triggers are, you know, the most important thing, right? When something happens, what do I do now? When he does that, what's my cue? When the opposition do that, we do this. Same with pressing, right? There has to be a trigger for a press. You don't need, like, a press is not the only time when there should be triggers. Like, if a player picks up the ball deep, if Maddison picks up the ball deep last season, there should be a trigger for someone else to occupy the spot, and there wasn't enough of it. And I don't think I've seen enough of it yet with us with the ball. I think with the ball, we don't have a game plan yet. And we're figuring it out on the job, because most of the time on the training ground has been, you know, how do we pivot to a back 3 when necessary defensively? How do we structure ourselves with a back 4 defensively? If the opposition have the ball on the right flank, you know, how tight should Pedro Porro be to Romero? Should he be allowing the left wingers to have acres of space behind? All of that shit, especially when you're trying to ingratiate multiple formations at the same time, all of that stuff takes time, and there's an opportunity cost. You can't do it all. So for me, yeah, I just think that the offensive game plan is now what's necessary. And look, you could make the argument. I think Saba's been making it pretty strongly, and I think he's not wrong about it, that some of these things are a consequence of doing your business late. If you got your business done early and you had the majority of your squad together throughout July and August, then you'd be ahead of that process. And I think that's fair. I think it's a good point. Obviously, just the context of the situation is that life doesn't work perfectly. So you're not always going to get your stuff the way you want. This new Xavi chant is sick. What's the one? It's na 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 na. Fuck off Chelsea, I'm a weirdo now. Or whatever. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. The ocean hurt the shore. Fuck up Chelsea, I'm a weirdo now. Oh, that's it. One call with Frank and he said, wow. Fuck off Chelsea, I'm a weirdo now. Yeah. Good song. Very good song. Awful performance for 3 points in a clean sheet. I'll take it all day. 100%. We'll take it. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I see Jamie O'Hara, like, sort of, I know he's doing it for banter and stuff, but on TalkSport last night, he was a little bit shameless. Like, you know, we're back, Tottenham are back, we're going to win it all. You know, let's relax on that. We've got a lot of work to do. But if you can win whilst you're learning, you know, most of the time, people that are positive mental attitude, they say, you don't lose, you learn. It's win or learn. Well, we're learning and we're winning, I think, and that's a really good thing, isn't it? It's a perfect situation. Sarr played against Milan under Conte. Did he, Philo? Yeah, well done, mate. Fair enough. That's true. He did, didn't he? Yeah. So Berghvall, it was Berghvall's debut last night, I think. Big up Shorty. Decent defensive performance last night at 3 points. Just need to sort out our front line. But it's not just our front line, though, Roberto. Not just our front line. Like, you attack from the back and you defend from the front, right? In a cohesive unit. The midfield, I think the midfield's a little bit clumsy. When Polinia got on the pitch in the last 20 minutes, I was screaming like, "Come on, Thomas Frank! Like we're gonna end up being sloppy here. We're gonna end up being sloppy and concede a late goal, and it's gonna be like same old Tottenham. You know, like we've got to change it up earlier than we did." When he finally took off Sarr and brought on Polinia, I was like, "That's good." That's good. But Xavi Simons got away with a red card. Xavi Simons should have been red. It should have had a second yellow. I don't know how he got away with it. The ref in the first half, in the first 45 minutes, the ref gave nearly everything he could to Villarreal. And in the second half, I felt like it was Tottenham that got away with a few. You know, I think that the Micky van der Ven thing, like if that's a pen, it's a red card. It's not a pen. It's outside the area. But you could even make the argument that even if it's outside the area, if it wasn't for the fact that the ball was moving away from the goal, and again, I haven't seen the replay. I have seen the replay. I saw it on the highlights this morning. But you know what? I wasn't paying attention when That's crazy. I watched the highlights this morning and I didn't even pay attention to that. Maybe it wasn't. It must have been on the highlights. I don't remember it, but my memory of the incident was that the ball's moving away from the goal, so it's probably not a red, even if he's if it's outside the area. But if it's a penalty, you can maybe make the argument. But anyway, we got a little bit lucky in terms of just the basic flow of that because he was done. Pepe sort of chewed us up most of the evening. Buchanan missed a sitter. And the free kick that come from that push from Van der Ven, if he gets that on target, if you see like Vicario's dive was just horrendous. He was full stretch, and he's only covering about the bottom half of the goal. I don't know if he slipped or what, but he didn't get his foot up to the corner. If the ball's on target, that's in. Pepe's other shot, if he gets that on target, he's in. It's in. Because Vicario's nowhere near it. I'm not a fan of Vicario. I've got to be honest, Vicario worries me all the time. I don't think he's good enough. I really don't. Anyway, we move. The performance isn't that important. The result is everything. We must give the manager time. He will get it. Of course. There's nothing wrong with the manager. The manager's going to be fine. He looks really, really composed. I love Thomas Frank. I've really grown to like his honesty. I think he's just sincere when he talks. Like, I don't think there's an agenda. I don't think he's like projecting something. I don't think he's, there's no like veiled messages, veiled digs, hidden narratives that he wants people to pick up on. It's all just pure honesty, sincerity, and genuine thoughts on the game. And it's refreshing to not have to like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what you said last week. I mean, it was only 5 games, so maybe that will come later, but the Conte thing, it always felt like there was an ego. It always felt like it was, doing certain things to promote, and it always felt like there was a favour being done. I didn't appreciate that. And with Ange, I always felt like it was protectionism over his own, defensiveness, his defensive character. Thomas Frank just seems quite just chilled, chilled with his takes and just speaks sincerely. So I'm all about him. I think he's great. Afternoon, Destiny 5. Good to see you. Villarreal showed how to defend from the front very, very effectively. Reggie, they had a really interesting press though, mate. It wasn't like they pressed all the time. It was almost like they kind of lure you into a false sense of security. I'm gonna press you sometimes, but then other times I'm not gonna press you. And so then you don't know. Like, and I love that sort of tactic. I love if you can get that shit drilled into your team over time, and it will take time, right? But if you could like foresee 3 years down the line, Thomas Frank is still the manager of our football club. And at this stage, we've got so many young players. We're nowhere near the depth of Arsenal, etc. Of course, we're not the depth of Liverpool, the depth of City, but relatively, we have a decent level of depth, they're very shallow drop off. And so hopefully at this stage, which is something I've been saying to you guys for years, which is the foundation of why I said that this summer, just gone, you would probably, in all likelihood, see a club's new highest earner and or a club's new highest transfer fee. it wasn't so much around, because the money's there. It was more because a lot of the work is done with regards to clear out. Like, you can't have £100 million Declan Rices if you also have to have 7 or 8 new players in your squad every summer, because you're transitioning from one donut to the next and you're making these short-term, like, stupid decisions, buying players that you don't necessarily want or haven't really done the research on long contracts that are difficult to shift, all of that stuff. And because all of that work took place towards the end of the Conte era and then throughout the Ange era, and to Ange's defense, he was the victim of that whole process, which is why I said before I knew who he was, it doesn't matter who the guy after Conte is going to be. He'll be the guy before the guy, because he has to go through all of this shit in real time. And I would have been far more tolerant of Ange if it hadn't been for the double talk, if it hadn't been for the personality side of him that I didn't like. I would have been more tolerant of what he had to go through. It was only because he spun it. It's just the spin doctor stuff that I couldn't get on board it. But now we've gone through most of that. And so my point being, if you can imagine like a guy that is so diligent on the training ground, right? Imagine someone that is so, him and Cochrane and the rest of them that have all come together. They know each other, so there's none of that dissemination that's necessary. But they can sit there and fix the back line, then fix the forward line, then then solve like the continuity and the dynamism and the fluid, all that shit. Then also implement like the triggers. When do we go to a back 3? When do we stick with a back 4? What do we do if these players are on the pitch? And when they come off the pitch in game, are you all aware? Are you all paying attention that now you've got Udogie on the pitch with Simmons and it's no longer Jed Spence? Well, in that scenario, is there something that Kudus should be doing differently? And have they figured that stuff out on the training ground? Brilliant, right? All that stuff comes in time and they'll all get used to it. They'll all get better and better and better at doing all of that. But in 3 years' time, imagine if you get to the situation where Villarreal are at kind of right now. I don't know how long Villarreal's coach has been there, but the way that they operated yesterday, it was intermittent pressing. It was unique triggers that lured you into a full sense of security. Like in the first 5 minutes, you're sitting there being pressed every time you get the ball. Every time Vicario's getting the ball, you've got Buchanan, you've got Pepe, you've got the number 9. Was it Gay? I forget. Guy or whatever. You got those guys that are pressing. And then 15 minutes, so you're thinking, oh, great, they're doing a high press. Okay, that's cool. We know what we're doing against the press. But then 15 minutes later, they're not doing the press. Maybe it was timed, phased. Maybe it was just time-based. Like, first 20 minutes, you press. Second 20 minutes, you don't. Second half, you press. Whatever. Maybe, I don't know what the triggers were. I'm not smart enough to figure that shit out, but Thomas Frank and those guys are. So imagine how good we could be with enough time on the training ground where making sure that everybody understands the back 3 versus the back 4 or individual partnerships. But then the final part of that shit is the real specific detail where you're saying like, well, what do we do if the opposition mix up the press? Or are we going to be doing that shit? It becomes like a game of chess, right? It becomes like a fluid, dynamic, physical, athletic game of chess where you're implementing in-game tactics. That stuff's well down the track. I don't think we're anywhere near that yet. But if Thomas Frank hangs around for a while, and Cochrane, who by the way, I still maintain, I think Cochrane is the real, like the secret sauce there. I think he's the guy. I think Thomas Frank is brilliant, but I think Cochrane is the guy. I've got pictures. I've got videos. I'll be putting them up as shorts later on. I've got videos in the first half of Cochrane. Like, Thomas Frank wasn't in the area. Wasn't in his technical box. Cochrane was sitting there. Like, I've got like three 2-minute shorts over the space of like 8 minutes. And Cochrane is just on the side, like the ball's not even necessarily in play. Someone's down injured. They're having a water break, or the ball's in play, or maybe it's out for a throw-in, goal kicks. And Cochrane is just non-stop pointing, pulling, picking, directing. He's like he's the conductor of an orchestra. It was madness. I was zooming. I wasn't even watching the game. I was just zooming in on him, just trying to understand. Trying to get my head around who is it that's the guy that's disseminating that information in real time? And again, it's chalk and cheese, night and day to what we had before. Like a dog imitates its master. Oftentimes, the owner looks like the dog, or the dog looks like the owner, and certainly they act like it. Well, when Ange was there and he was looking at the floor with his hands in his pockets, kicking the turf like he'd been rejected as a 14-year-old boy by his high school crush, bar humbug, that kind of stuff. Not these two, but specifically not Cochrane. Cochrane to me is like a power play. I love him. Anyway, let's carry on with the chat. Where do we get to in the chat? Let's scoot forward a little bit. Kudos has settled in very well, says Cantor. Big up to you. Big up, Jason. I think we all need to remember that we're still at the start of this friend project. Yes, we looked out of sorts, but we still got the points. Frank does need a left wing. A proper left wing. Like a left wing, like a Mitoma. If we can't get a Malik Fofana, if we can't get... Excuse me 1 second, guys. If we can't get a Fofana, I'd love him. If we can't get a Savio, I'd love him. Maybe we shouldn't be getting a Lookman, by the way. Maybe we shouldn't. I love the player, but I'm concerned about the person. Got to be honest. I don't know. There's only so much research you can do. Like the Y Scout doesn't have the Bozo stat, so I don't know. I don't know how I can figure out that part of the story. Let me know if you've got any ideas of how we could figure out as a community, as a channel, And I love you guys, the help you bring with it. When I say something that's wrong or whatever, or you bring me stats and stuff, I love you guys for days. But how can we figure out whether Lookman is worth the punt? Because there's rumours out there we might be able to get him for 25 million quid or something in January. By the way, I've got to talk to you about this Pedro Porro stat. Have you seen this? Right, and I've been guilty of. Where is it? Here we go. Look at this. Right, I've been guilty of saying that Pedro Porro is the template of how to go at Tottenham. And I think we could all agree, like he has looked like that. Maybe there's context to this stat, but this is wild, guys. This is wild. Let me zoom in for you. Pedro Porro versus Premier League fullbacks this season. Defensive duels 1, possessions 1, progressive actions, crosses, forward passes, long passes completed, progressive passes completed, progressive passes into the final third, and passes to penalty box. I'm not surprised by the passes thing or the crosses. That's fine with me. Progressive actions. It's the defensive duels 1 thing that I'm surprised about, and possessions 1. I mean, maybe it's just the fact that defensive duels. If you've been involved in 100 defensive duels because other teams are targeting you, and every other fullback has been involved in 20 defensive duels, then if they've won 18 of them, they're at like a 95% or a 90% win rate, for example. And if he's won 25 of them, but it's 25 into 100, then he's at a 25% win rate, but he's still technically won more defensive duels. I'm not sure because stats can be spun anyway, but technically defensive duels 1, he's number 1. And possessions 1, he's number 1 versus all fullbacks. Which surprises me because I'm sure if you were to look at like take-ons though, take-ons like lost or take-ons 1 or whatever, I'm sure that wouldn't look good. So they might be cherry-picked stats. Either way though, he does it looks fantastic, but I just wanted to show you because I don't want to give him any sort of unnecessary criticism because I love Pedro Porro. He's my prison officer, right? But him and Jess Spence are fantastic. But the stats are very skewed there. They've cherry-picked a lot of stats, but still, to be number 1 for all those things is very impressive. But I just wonder whether or not the defensive duels 1 thing is more as a consequence of the fact that he's involved in more duels, not because he's won a higher percentage than everybody else. But maybe I'll dig into the stats on on Scout and see if I can pull some stats out of my arse too to support it or to deny it. Either way, let's get back to the chat. I want to see what the chat is saying. Where do I get to? Sean, do you think Berghvall or Sarr should have played deeper? Bentancur struggled to pick up the mid, and he couldn't get out from the back often enough. Yeah, I thought, like I say, I think it was more like a 4-1-4-1 at times last night. I didn't know Berghvall and Sarr were both sort of like both trying to be the more advanced. And I think it was a little bit disrespectful to the midfield battle and also to Villarreal. But look, they're both young, and I don't know which. I honestly don't know what positions they are. Luke, I've got no idea, mate. I don't know if he's if they're 8s or 10s or what they are. But Berghvall had another absolute cracker, didn't he? He had another corker of a game. Did he get the man of the match award just because it was the assist, like his assist or whatever that was the own goal? I don't think so. I thought it was pretty good. But I actually thought Kudus was better until I saw the stats and then saw how many times he gave the ball away. But then everybody gave the ball away. How many times did we lose possession unnecessarily? Like 30 times yesterday or something? It's wild. Xavi is wasted on the chicken wing. Yeah. I only want to see Xavi on the left when he's taking a corner. Yeah, I agree, guys. I agree. Odegaard needs to be on the left and Xavi goes in the team in the Champions League goes. It'd be interesting, right, AJ? Right now, who do you give... Jesus, there's so many chats. I'm going to scoot forward. Forgive me. Anyone that's asked a question or wants something said again, say it again. I'm going to get forward to the top of the chat because there's so many people, so many chats gone through. There's also a few super stickers I want to get to real quick. Appreciate you, Oscar. Big up to you, Oscar, mate. Choo to you. Thank you so much, buddy. Absolute legend, Oscar. Yeah, pint of Guinness there in the background in your little icon, mate. You look like you're enjoying that. In fact, is that a pint of Guinness? Yeah, it's a pint of Guinness. Yeah. Thank you very much, Oscar. Appreciate you, mate. Sean Hurl, big up to you, Shawnee. Hope you recovered from Helga disappointment, Sean. Was hoping we would retain some attacking flair from last season. Fourth highest scorers too. Early days, but bigger test of resilience to come. First of all, Sean, thank you very much for the super chat, my man. Very generous of you. Very cool of you, buddy. Very, very much appreciate it. Second of all, the more I think about it, mate, I really did want to go to Bodo, not because of Helga. That's a bit of fun. But then I was thinking about it, right? Because I don't have the points. Like I'm looking at how much money it costs to get tickets to these things. Like the ticket for Bodo, I could still get it, right? But it was like £1,600. And semi-final was different. Semi-final was a different thing to like a Champions League game. I mean, there were so many seats available last night, mate. So many seats. And by the way, did anybody see the Villarreal end? There was like 100 fans in the Villarreal end. And they didn't have a big segment. And so the guy who sits next to me at Tottenham, really nice guy, he was telling me, and I didn't realise this, he's like, Spanish teams just don't go away from home. I was like, what do you mean, in Europe? He goes, apart from Real Madrid, but if Real Madrid are playing in Liverpool, or Real Madrid are playing in Chelsea, or playing in Tottenham, he goes, most of the time, those fans are actually from England, for example. Or if they go to Germany, those Real Madrid fans are in Germany. Spanish fans of Spanish teams don't really travel. And I was like, so what? Like, so that just for Europe? He's like, no, even in Spain, like if Villarreal went away to Mallorca or I don't know Valencia, they don't really have big segments. It's like it's 95% home fans or 99% home fans, and only a few fans that will travel. I didn't know that. I still don't know if that's true, but he said it with such confidence that I believed him. There was only like 100 Villarreal fans there last night. It was wild, really, really weird, really, really weird. But there was also not a lot of Tottenham fans there either. You know, so they obviously priced it incorrectly. There was probably 4,000 or 5,000 seats at the top of the east and the west stand that were empty. So, and you can understand how expensive it is, right? You can understand it. And then for me, like if I want to go away in Europe, to your point, Sean, like I'm looking at Monaco. If I want to go and get a ticket in the Tottenham end at Monaco, £900 a ticket on those websites. Or I can sit one block over from the Tottenham end in the Monaco end, if I can get away with it. And it will cost €70 for the ticket. So I am disappointed that I'm not going to go and see Helga. Or a Helga. That Helga can... But it is what it is. As far as what you were saying, was hoping we would retain some attacking flair from last season. Listen, we're still scoring goals. We're still getting it done. but a lot of these goals are coming from set pieces or mistakes, and it doesn't feel like we're clicking yet. But listen, it is early days, and there are bigger tests to come. You know, you look at Wolves, right? Wolves are rock bottom of the Premier League table. They haven't played that badly, but they've had a shocking, like horrible opening set. They had Man City on the opening day. They got pumped 5-0 at home. They lost to Everton at home 3-2. They shouldn't have done, but they did. And then they've also lost to Bournemouth and Newcastle, I think it was. Or is it Newcastle? I think it was Newcastle and Bournemouth, yeah. 1-0 or something. So, yeah, Wolves have had a horrible start. And we've had a fairly easy start with the exception of City. So we shall see. Thank you very much for the super sticker, though, mate. Appreciate you. Daniel Phil, big up to you, mate. Super sticker. Choo-choo to you. Choo-choo to you. Choo-choo. Appreciate you, my man. And Nick Lazy 8. Big up to you, Nicky boy. He says, what kind of incentive would be required to get you to do a full live stream entirely in a Welsh accent? No incentive at all, really. Just ask, bro. You know, I can't do it. I'm not drunk enough yet. Give me some more of these magnums. I don't know. Like proper Welsh. Like amazing, innit? Like, have you all seen that? Have you all seen that Villerreal? They're amazing, innit? The press is proper. It's not Welsh at all. I'm going to get cancelled. Rooty toot to toot. Let's get back to the close to going, basically. This is the new emoji for the Spurs talk show, isn't it? Just close enough. Some of our fans stayed away too. £90 for a ticket is steep, Rooty too. 100%, mate. As I say, there was a lot of people there. So there you go. 55k was it? 55k. 6k less than usual. Yeah, but I'd imagine that pocket of Villarreal fans, there was a massive empty. It was a massive empty segment. The whole segment was entirely empty. You know, so there's probably like at least 2,500 seats that were theirs that they didn't fill, but there was definitely 3,000 or 4,000 seats. There were pockets that you could just see at the top. You know, and the atmosphere wasn't sensational either. The atmosphere, I didn't really hear too many songs. There was definitely, you know what the main criteria of the songs was yesterday? It was about Thomas Partey. We know what you are. We know what you are. 60 minutes, proper Welsh. Villa had 2 easy chances to score. I haven't seen the highlights yet, Keith. I'm going to check out the highlights after the stream in a little while. Doncaster game is going to be mental low. I was going to ask you guys, if any of you guys are season ticket holders, do you know, is there like a little bit of like a cheat code to getting more points on your season ticket? Oh, sorry, more points on your membership. Like if I was to go say, let's just say if I was to go and buy 10 tickets at £30 a pop, right? I'm not going to do this, but just for argument's sake, at £30 a pop. So you spend 300 quid and you get 10 tickets attributed to your account, and each one of them is worth 3 points on your loyalty scheme. If you go to the game just as yourself, but you scan each of the tickets one after the other, do you get an extra 30 points on your loyalty scheme? Because if so, then I'm thinking about doing things like that, because I'd rather spend like 900 quid doing that than buying a ticket to Monaco. If it means that for the next 2 years I've got a decent chance of getting an away ticket for 30 quid in the Champions League, then 900 quid here, 1,500 quid there, which is the sort of prices I have to pay currently, you know? I'd love to know whether or not that's... is it? They stopped doing that a few years ago, Sean. Used to be done. You only get 1 lot of points per membership. Interesting. That's a shame. Hello, mate. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, boss. I'd love to get you on the channel one time, Spurs CC. Always enjoy listening to you on Savage Show, mate, and the Danalist and that. Yesterday was invaluable in that we were talking. In fact, mate, just whilst I've got you, mate, message if you've got Twitter. Message me on Twitter, mate. I'd love to get you on the. I don't know your number, mate. So love to get you on, bud. Yesterday was invaluable in that we were taught a lesson, but still got 3 points. Yeah, like I say, learn whilst you're winning. And this is the thing, right? You can take from the comment. In fact, let me get some of the comments up rather than listening to me. Let's listen to what the gaffer said, shall we? Let's have a look at some of the gaffers talk. Let me go back here 1 second. That's why I go to Spurs Global. Is it on Spurs Global? Here we go. Thomas Frank on Palinia's impact. He's a very good player. He stabilised us more in the middle of the pitch, so that helped definitely. The players are working very hard on that, and that we have a very good foundation to stand on. In terms of our defensive organisation, we give very little away against the Champions League team, 100%. And you know what? I'm not going to be harking on about how I was calling for a Monster 6 for 3 years, all that stuff. But I do think we need someone else. I think we need a 6 that's better than what we have. That's an out-and-out 6. It's obviously not Bissouma, right? He's going. I don't think Archie Gray is ready yet. If I'm entirely honest, the geezer needs a loan. I don't think he's ready yet. And he's not going to become ready until he gets minutes in a competitive game. Loan him back to Leeds if Leeds will, and let him go for free, like no loan fee. Let him go for free, but he has to play 70% of the minutes that are available in the 6 or something like that. I'm getting creative here. When he's fit, and if not, if he doesn't play that many minutes, then there's kickers where they pay punishment fines or whatever. Because all of these kids that we're sending out on loan, if they're not playing on these loan clubs, then what's the point? What is the point? So you should incentivize, but also penalize them being at their club, pitching you why it is that they're the right club for your guy, and then not playing them. I know it's difficult to do that because obviously the manager's got to pick what's the best interest of the football club and stuff. I get all that stuff. But anyway, my point being, Tottenham Hotspur needs someone, because if this guy goes down injured, we are back to square one. Appreciate you, Chris. Just sending you a message, mate. I appreciate you. I'll text you later. We're back to square one if we lose Palhinha. He's so important, but he's also 31 years old. Right? So he can't play all the time. And if he does, then he's going to get injured and fatigued. So we need some support. But I don't think we have it. Like Bentancur for me is not a 6. He was shit yesterday again. He's okay with the ball. Like I said, he won some of those scrappy duels and things. He won some of them, and he wasn't. I don't think, I could be wrong. In fact, I'll get the stats up now. I don't think he was responsible for the giveaways as much as others were in more advanced positions. But he's just not good enough in the rest defence. He's not touch tight. He doesn't seek out the threat and sits on the shoulder of that guy when we have the ball, on the off chance that we lose it, which we did so many times yesterday. And when they broke, it was up to him to be there to quash the threat, and he wasn't. So anyone that tells me that Bentancur's a good enough deputy for when Palhinha is injured, in my opinion, with all due respect, it's all just opinions, but I don't like your opinion on that, because I think that Bentancur is an 8. And when Bentancur is playing in the 8, I'm sure he'll be great if he's got Palhinha behind him. Just like Berghvall last season was the beneficiary of Bentancur behind him. And when Bentancur became the 8 and you had Bissouma behind him in the Europa League games, Bentancur was the beneficiary of Bissouma playing that position. Well, we need someone that's, and also he's not Palhinha, for sure. If he carries on this form, I'm happy for the £20 million thing. Permanize it. Permanize it. It's not even a word. It should be a word. Hashtag make permanize a word should be the phrase. Permanize. Make it permanent. Make it permanent. Make the transfer. I'm going to use that phrase. Permanize. Permanize him. But that should definitely be a word. But he's 31. He can make it permanent for a couple of years or whatever, but he's still not the long-term solution. We need a Monster 6, and Archie Gray isn't it yet. He needs loan, and I don't want to see him develop on our time. So send him away. And also, even if he plays against Doncaster and puts in a worldie, it's Doncaster. What are you supposed to learn? The only way you can really gather your information and thoughts on how ready someone is if they do it in real time against top opposition. But he's not ready to take on Bodo, is he? He's not ready for Marseille. He's not. Sorry, for Monaco, for PSG, for Frankfurt, Copenhagen. This guy is the guy. But we need someone behind him because if he gets injured, we're fucked. Look at Arsenal. Look how much depth Arsenal have got. Arsenal have got like Mariana Trench levels of depth. You know, Saka goes down. All right, Noni Madueke's ready. Eze goes down. Martinelli or Trossard. That's where we need to be. We're not there yet, and we won't be there for a couple of years, in my opinion. But like I say, if you've got a coaching staff that can be settled, trusted, patient with, all of those things, and they get through the first phase, they move into the next, and then eventually you're just putting like you're sprinkling salt and pepper on that already delicious steak that's been, you know, you've figured out the recipe for the majority of the cook, and now you're just fine-tuning it with the right amount of Salt Bay, the right amount of whatever, a little bit of Dijon on the side. Like that's what comes from the like, here are the triggers, right? This is what we do in this situation. Or for the first 20 minutes, we do this, and then the next 20 minutes, we do that, and we keep them guessing. All of that shit is the sugar on top. And that's what I want to see. Lucas Berghvall on the game. He said it was. I'm going to come, by the way. I'm going to come to the specific player ratings and all their stats in a second. Lucas Berghvall on the game. It was really tough. Villarreal did a great performance, but a 1-0 win at home is amazing. We talk a lot about clean sheet mentality. Pause. I kind of like dirty sheet mentality, if I'm entirely honest. Enough about my Friday nights. Hi, Helga. And they did not have a shot on target, so we did a really good job. Wow, that's a bit of wordplay, isn't it? The only reason they didn't have a shot on target was because of Pepe's and Buchanan. Tell you someone else. Let me come back to this in a second. I'm enjoying this chinwag. I'm enjoying this chinwag with you guys. Permanise is in the Urban Dictionary, Mark Bentley says. Now we're talking. Does it actually mean to make something permanent? Is that what it means, Mark? Paddy, I've been notified that I've received a membership to your channel. Not sure who gifted it to me. Probably Blaine, but thanks. It probably was Blaine, my man. Yeah, Blaine. Where is Blaine? Where are you, Blaine? Must be doing the Lord's work somewhere. Yeah, listen, we got how long am I live for, James? I'm live for, I don't know, mate, half an hour or so. Sean, permanise is a verb. It's not a commonly used. It's a word. Is it a genuine word? Is it genuine word? I like that. Well, we should permanise. We should definitely permanise Polinia. But he's not the long-term solution, is he? He's 31. You can't build a team around him. So we need somebody else. And in terms of, someone was saying Wharton at the 6. Yeah, look, I'll be entirely honest. And you know I'm a bit of a contrarian, Shawnee. You know I'm a bit of a contrarian, right? But a lot of people blow so much smoke up Adam Wharton's arse. I'll just pay the 100 million quid. He's a 100 million pound player. He's not a 100 million pound player. Not yet. He's not the best in the game. He's not the best in the league. He's not in the top. I don't think he's in the top 5. Maybe top 4 6s/8s, right? He's a bit of an all-rounder, but he can certainly play in the 6. He's a good, very, very good player. But he looks brilliant because he's playing amongst a team of good, but not fantastic squad players. He's a very, very good player, and he's very young, but he's got loads of growth and room and all that stuff. But 100 million pounds, he's nothing like Declan Rice. He's nowhere near Declan Rice levels. But the same people that tell me that he's fucking amazing and I'm stupid and I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking. I don't know ball. Right? They're the same people that told me that Florian Wirtz was value for money at 130 million quid. They told me that Benjamin Šeško was value for money at 85 million. Something that Voltemade was ready at 85 million quid or whatever it was, 90 million quid, 90 million euros, whatever. I know the market's gone bonkers, but Šeško is not an 85 million pound player. Said it at the time. Florian Wirtz, I said it at the time, he would struggle. It takes time to acclimate. I'm not saying he won't make it. He might be a good player in the future, but let's be entirely honest. Liverpool's lucky start to the season, 4 winning goals in the final 10 minutes of the football matches. That is papered over a giant fucking crack, which is the conversation about how very bang average Florian Wirtz has been. Let's be entirely honest about that. Permanise means to get a hairdo from the 80s. let's permanise Polinia then, like that geezer who's a Man United fan who's not cut his hair in a year and a half or whatever since he said, I'm not cutting my hair until Man United win 5 games on the bounce. That guy. At some point you're going to see there's only 2 or 3 things there's only 2 or 3 human creations that are visible from space. The Great Wall of China, like the Burj Khalifa or whatever it is. Number 3 in about 3 years' time is going to be that geezer's poof, however you call it. The white afro. It's absolutely insane. Permanise isn't a recognised word, only in the Urban Dictionary, but it should be. I'm using it from now on. We're permanising that shit. We're permanising the word permanise. How about that? Don't agree, Sean. Rice is not that much better than him at this time, and just wait for another year. I'm not saying that he won't become it. I'm just saying he's not there yet. He's not there yet. He has bad games. Liverpool is shaky at the back. Yeah, Wirtz looks lost, right? Permanate. Is that is that an actual word, or are we just making up new words again? What are we doing here? Ravella at Lazio would suit us. A deep line 6 and can play as an 8 when required. Yeah. Ravella's more of like a register, though. Martin, in my opinion, he's a slightly different style of 6 than what. And listen, the argument against Polinia. I saw that guy Lily White Lab, and I put a tweet out about this. But I'll show you. I'll show you what I did. I don't think it was actually as. Where is it? Here we go. It's picked up a little bit. So in this tweet, right? So this guy, I'm already sharing it. Hang on, what am I doing here? It's on the screen. Okay. So this guy, this Lily White Lab fella, and I like his takes generally. He seems like a nice guy as well. I'm not sure. I don't know his name or whatever, but so he said Christian Romero, the most underrated player on the planet. No, I've said forever that he's the best passing centre back in the Premier League. He's he's phenomenal. And he's a brilliant yin to the yang of Micky van der Ven. And I actually said to him, he was basically sort of saying the same sort of thing as what I've been saying. I said, what you're saying about Romero is entirely true, but it's also why what you said about Polinia isn't. And what you said about Polinia was, after the West Ham game, he said, yet more evidence as why my take on Polinia is correct. Polinia is not necessary in these sorts of games because you basically lose the creativity of a midfielder because he can't create things from deep. He's not a ball-playing centre 6. And he's right in that Polinia does have a lack of creativity with the ball at his feet as a trade-off for his enforcer ball-winning attributes. And that wouldn't matter if it wasn't for the fact that he has the added options of defenders who are so good with the ball at their feet. Romero is the best ball-playing centre-back in the game. Van der Ven can break the lines with his power running. And Pedro Porro is the most technical right-back in the league. Because of that, there is no sacrifice in having Polinia on the pitch who can't create himself. He has 3 additional options to use outside of the 8 to hand off to. And I stand by it. You know, I think that if you're looking for a 6 that is the quarterback, Martin, if you're looking for a 6 that's the quarterback that can also do a little bit of the kind of chicanery and the shithousery and the enforcer role, Ravella's very good at all of those things. He's not as good as like a Rodri at those things. He's not as good at like a Busquets as those things, but he's certainly a very clever player in that regard. But I don't think he's as good at winning the ball back. He's not a master of being the enforcer 6 because he's a deep-lying playmaker. And it's very rare that you get players that are brilliant at both. Very rare. If you do, they're worth ridiculous amounts of money. But I don't think you need that if you have Romero, who's playing at right-sided centre-back, who's more capable of the ball at his feet than many midfielders. And I don't think you need that as well if you've got a Van der Ven, who's not as good with the ball at his feet in terms of passing, but he's certainly one of the best ball-carrying centre-backs who can progress the ball forward at his pace, even at his half speed, is faster than most players. And he kicks the ball and he keeps it within his rhythm, his cadence within his run. It's almost like touch-type dribbling, but galloping at the same time. He's a massively untapped resource, is Micky Van der Ven. The problem is that when you do lose the ball in those situations and there's a higher outcome, an amplified outcome of those things happening because they're centre-backs. When you do, then you get transitioned on. You need someone to sweep in. And in that regard, you don't need a Ravella. You need a Palhinha to cover. So as much as I like Ravella, and I'd love him to come in, Martin, in my opinion. I'd love him to come in to be another guy, but they're not the same sort of sixes, is my point. Not the same sort of sixes. Couldn't we move Romero into the 6? I think you could, but the problem is with moving Romero into the 6, he probably won't want to do that because he's it's a World Cup year, for example, right? It's a World Cup year, and if you're not, like, there's not that many situations or examples of players that play one position for their club and another for their country. And he's obviously number one name on the team sheet for Argentina as a centre back. In the midfield, who have you got for Argentina? You've got Enzo Fernandez that wants that role. Is Nico Paz Argentinian? I think he might be, isn't he? Nico Paz? Yeah, he's another one. He just plays in the 10. But there's a lot of competition in the Argentinian squad for those players. So I can't imagine that he would get in there. But listen, Ravella is Rodrigo de Paul. There you go, John. What I meant. There's a lot of players out there that I would like in the 6 to come in. I think we definitely need another 6 that we don't have. I'm happy for Bentancur to leave. I'm more than happy for Bentancur to go. If we bring in a proper 6 that can mix it up with Palhinha, because Palhinha is not a long-term solution. But if you lose him right now and then you're forced to bring back in Bissouma or Bentancur and play that in the 6, it's not going to work for me. Not going to work. Let's take a little look-see at some of these stats, shall we, from yesterday? That's not the page. This is the page. How do I get rid of that? Winding me up. All right, let's have a look at how many times the ball was given away. So Rodrigo Bentancur played in the 6. Can you see that on the screen? Is it on the screen? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's have a little look. See. Where's my page gone? Possession loss. So he gave the ball away 7 times. So he wasn't really responsible for most of the problems. Aerial duels 1, 5 from 6. Very impressive. Ground duels 1, 3 from 6. Not great for a 6. Dribble pass 1 time. Was it Berghvall? Who was the person who gave the ball? Look at Berghvall's heat map. He's all over the place. That's a problem, though. That's part of the problem. In fact, I want to compare that to Pape Sarr, right? I mean, at least Pape Sarr was a little bit more doing what I was talking about. Like, if Xavi Simons is going to drift inwards, then is someone who's going to play on the left side of the double pivot? Are they going to play more? They're going to fill in the gap, and he did. But like Lucas Berghvall, as much as you got man of the match, he's all over the place, right? Like that's a bit of a weird heat map. Not really a hell of a lot. He's everywhere, kind of everywhere. How many minutes did he get? How many possessions? Possession lost 11 times. What about Pape Sarr? Possession lost 7 times in unnecessary giveaways. Mohamed Kudus. 14 times he gave the ball away. It's too much. How about Xavi Simons? 17 times. 17 times. Accurate passes, 25 from 33. 76%. What was his? 86%. 37 from 43. That from Richalison, by the way. In nowhere. Everywhere and nowhere, baby. Accurate passes, 3 from 9. He only touched the ball 23 times. He had a shocker yesterday, didn't he? Old Richalison. Absolute shocker. Shocker. Proper shocker. He still won his aerial duels, I guess. It really wasn't impressive. This guy, Micky Tadzi, he wasn't very good, was he, in the end? 19 times he touched the ball in the 9. How many times did Pedro Porro give the ball away? That's standard, isn't it? Standard. Get yourself forward, stay outside. It's just nice to see that as well. None of this inverting bollocks. Just stick to your side, mate. This is your area. This is your penitentiary. You keep the prisoners locked up. How many times did he give the ball away? He touched the ball. Where's touches? 85 times. 54 from 63. 86%. Absolutely reasonable. Crosses 1 from 4. Long balls 5 from 9. Didn't have a bad game. Who got man of the match according to? Mohamed Kudus got man of the match according to SofaScore. But SofaScore is a strange one. The algorithm is very much driven around output rather than input, so not great. Anyone come on the bench and did okay? Destiny Udogie, how many minutes did he get? He got 22 minutes or so. Ground duels 5 from 5. Pretty impressive. Lost the ball 4 times. Touched the ball 21 times. He touched the ball more times than Richarlison did in 20 minutes. We got to work on that. We have to work on that, ladies and gentlemen. Harry D. My favourite Cliterati bait. Win is a win. Debuts completed with a win. Clean sheet, confidence, rolling. Now we wait for relationships and partnerships to build. 100%. Harry D, good to see you, my man. Good to see you, buddy. Porro is underrated, AJ. He is massively underrated. Man of the match gave away the ball 14 times. Yeah. A lot of them, I mean, Xavi Simons gave the ball away a lot as well, didn't he? Let's talk about a little bit about, let's talk about Kolo Muani, guys. Listen, I'll ask you this. Kolo Muani, for me, he didn't do a thing, right? Final 3 or 4 minutes of the game, injury time, we're winning the ball back defensively, we're pumping it long, Muani's walking. He ain't buying in yet. I know he's not necessarily fit, but you don't have to be like match fit when you're only playing 5 minutes of football to chase down lost causes, run down blind alleys. Gotta be honest, I was really unimpressed. But I'm not writing him off, obviously. I've already seen people writing him off on Twitter. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, like, he only had a few minutes and he didn't do anything. Yeah, he hadn't even touched the ball, Depasha. He hadn't even touched the ball. His first touch was someone's shin. It's crazy. Got a yellow card straight out of the traps. Absolutely madness. A madness. What's Timothy saying? Big up to you, Timothy, member of the show. I said before the game would have been a full rotation for me, every single player. If not, then what is the point of a squad? Keep them cold without minutes for months so they can't do a job. What, you would have swapped everybody? So you would have had Ben Davies on the left. You would have had Danso. I don't know who you would have played I guess Ben Davies would have played left-sided centre-back, I guess. Or Junai Byfield. You'd have everybody swapped. Not for a Champions League game. You can't do that. We're not in that position, mate. We're not in that position. Mate, I love these Magnums, mate. I love them. That's how I bought a case of them, so you can expect me to be a little bit rat-a-tar-tar for the next couple of days as I plow through them. But 10 minutes or 90 minutes, hunger needs to be shown. The game was too important to rotate that much. 100% AJ. Good afternoon, Sean. Good afternoon, Logan. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Apparently, James from Spurs Related was on the old on Sky Sports News this morning. James, I haven't seen it, mate. Send me the clip if you've got it, and I will take a little look-see. But yeah, look, guys, my take overall, just to finish up, just to round off. I've been going for an hour and 20. I'll leave you alone. I'll do another show later on. I might even do the fan phoning show this evening. Actually, I'm maybe do it after the football, maybe like 10 o'clock or something. The takeaway for me is, look, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't great. There's lots of problems, lots of intricate details. But if you just take a second, just take a pause for a second here. My summary is how much has improved since Thomas Frank has taken over. We have clear, concise, genuine, sincere, honest, frank, and intelligent insights from a manager that isn't trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, isn't trying to blow smoke up anyone's asses, isn't trying to protect an ego. He's just saying it how he sees it, and how he sees it seems like it's on the right track. It was his debut in the Champions League. It was the same for I guess it was the same for Cochrane. Berghvall, man of the match in his first Europa League, his first Champions League performance. Sensational. Yes, there's problems with us on the ball. We're not particularly creative yet, but 4 clean sheets from 5. The fan base seems to be happy with the momentum with regards to the ownership. The club seems to be moving in the right direction in all facets. And the last sort of major area for us to have an improvement in the zeitgeist is just around the kind of creative side on the ball. And that will come with time. And if we can keep this team together and just sprinkle in a little bit more quality in January and then go again, a little bit more quality. We don't need 5 players. We don't need 7 players. We need 1 or 2 in January. 1 player would be fine in January, a left winger, because I know how difficult January is. But if you can go and get a left winger in January and then you go and get 2 big players or 3 big players in the summer, then you get your centre back, your defensive work done. You know, you're leveling up in the kind of defensive department on the left back, left side of the centre back spot. You go and get a 6 that can compete with Polinia, and then you go and get a better striker. At some point between January and the summer, Tottenham need 5 players, and the depth and the levels are there for all to see. And then the more time Thomas Frank has with these people, the more creative we can be with our usage of triggers and all these things, and it's a wonderful thing to see. So I'm pumped, I'm excited, and listen, I can't wait to see how Chelsea get battered tonight, and also if Newcastle get the treatment from Barcelona as well. Also, of course, we got the Carabao Cup as well. So good things to see. Enjoy your day, guys. I'll be back later on probably with something else, but for now, I'll say thank you so much for joining us. Hit the like, the subscribe, and all that stuff, and get over to OK Jersey. And I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for coming to the conversation. And as always, bye-bye.